Hey everybody, just thinking of how people like attention. This came from church. Hope everybody's doing well. Anyway, see, I just started thinking about this, like, about myself, because I was like, I don't know, I didn't know what to do at a certain time, so I had every time in my day, like if I don't know what to do, I'm like putting on the TV or putting on music or doing something, noisy around me. And what I've understood is, like, we don't like no peace. We don't like no silence. We need to call somebody, we need to call a friend, we need to talk to somebody about something, or we need disturbance in our whole life. And that's unnecessary. It's very unnecessary, because sometimes being quiet is really beneficial to your regeneration of your mind and your body. We don't have time to regenerate. We don't have time to, like, get that rest that our body needs to perform better or best in, certain situations. That's why people are constantly tired. People are constantly stressed. I'm not stressed. I'm not stressed at all. But people are constantly tired. And this life is like full of commotions. You don't have time to rest. Definitely families with children. You gotta watch out for your kids, that they're doing the right thing. Parents don't have time to relax. And also, like, children who are taking care of children. It's like these days parents are not around at home. They are working. Everybody's so busy making money that your big sister or your big brother, like in my family, my big sister took care of me, took care of us, and like parents are not around. Our brains are starving for attention since we're young. We don't have time to rest, and yet our bodies need that. We need to rest. We need to regenerate. We need to, you can't be the person you want to be if you don't rest. I don't mean being lazy. Laziness doesn't benefit anybody, but rest is very, very important. Resting is very, very important, so that you can clearly make decisions, clearly understand yourself. When I used to drink alcohol, when I used to smoke weed, it seemed like rest. But anyway, to tell you the truth, I don't think there's a wrong thing with smoking weed and drinking, yeah? But when I used to smoke, I remember the anxiety I had. It has a lot of anxiety. But the positive side is my brain was empty. My brain was pretty empty. I didn't think about anything when I used to smoke weed. I would sit in one place the whole day. I mean, sit in one place from morning or afternoon up to late at night or in the morning the next day, just smoking weed with friends. And that's a bad habit. That's a bad habit. And I don't mean starving yourself for attention like that. It's not good. But I'm glad I stopped smoking. I've stopped now 5-6 years, going strong. I've not smoked weed at all. But starving for attention is like, nowadays, with attention you can make money. Like women on OnlyFans, OnlyFans can make money. But these days, it's not about money, you know. Instagram, all social media, Instagram, Snapchat, all those medias, it's not really about money anymore. People are so glad to show their bodies. Not only ladies, not only women, you know, but also men. There are men on, what they call it, OnlyFans. There are men on OnlyFans showing their bodies. There are women on OnlyFans showing their bodies. There are children on OnlyFans showing their bodies. Instagram, Snapchat. I remember one time when I just downloaded Snapchat for fun. I wasn't really interested in Snapchat at all, but like at school, people say like, yo, download Snapchat, you know, and see what happens. So I downloaded Snapchat, and I was on there, and this girl just sent me a picture of her titties. You know, she just snapped a picture of her titties and she sent them to me. And I'm like, why did you send that to me? And I'm not even I wasn't interested in her like that. But this lady just decided, this girl, she was a girl, not a lady. A girl just decided to send me a picture of her titties. Why would somebody do that? Why would you just send a random person on Snapchat your titties? You know, a lot of people would be excited about that. But I wasn't. I was shocked. I was like, okay, what kind of person is this, you know? Because I didn't know what Snapchat was. I didn't know why people use Snapchat. You know, snap a photo, send it to somebody. It's just weird. I think it's just weird that people, you know, I understand the concept of making money with it, but I just don't understand why people use it. You know, I understand why people use things like Instagram for marketing. I don't understand OnlyFans at all. That's just like a porn site to me, you know. I don't understand OnlyFans. And I wonder why people use OnlyFans, you know. I think since we were young, we were spoiled, you know, having too much attention, you know. These days, if you don't have attention, nobody gives you attention, then you feel like you don't belong in the crowd. You don't belong in society. You feel like you're lost. You feel like you're weird. You feel like, you know, you need dependencies. You need people smoking around you, people using drugs around you. You get sucked in this weird container of self-destruction, anger, disownment, you know, all this aggressiveness. And now you belong somewhere. Once you start taking the drugs and belonging to all these kinds of groups, I see a lot of this stuff on the streets, you know, children who are young, you know, hanging on the corners. Like yesterday, I went to buy some stuff in the shop, and there were like 20 boys in the corner with one girl in the corner. They weren't doing anything to the girl, but it's just a concept. I'm just trying to get you to imagine this. 20 boys in a corner. Now you would think these guys have nothing to do but to hang around in a corner. But they would have been doing a lot of things with their lives than hanging around in a corner and trying to intimidate people. They weren't trying to intimidate anybody, but I bet you they were trying to intimidate somebody. Somebody will be intimidated by these people, these boys. But anyway, I went in, got my groceries, came back out, and they were still hanging around, passing each other cigarettes, smoking weed and drinking and whatever, you know, whatever they were doing. But I bet you in that whole group smoking and drinking, young boys. I mean, young boys. I'm talking about 14, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old boys, 18-year-old boys. These boys were so young. You know, you could see the undeveloped shouting and cursing and, you know, to the people who are like trying to tell them to stop shouting or stop smoking. We starve so much for attention that we need to be accepted. We self-destruct, take drugs, so that a group can accept us. And that's very wrong. That's very wrong. We should teach our children, our families, our friends, that that's not necessary. But we don't do that. We don't teach our friends, family that that's not necessary. We are always like ignoring signs, But it's not only about telling them. It's also about people, like discovering discovering these things themselves. Like, okay, ask yourself, do I really need to be in a group? Do I really need to be liked? I don't need to be liked. Do I need to be liked? That's what you have to understand. Do I need to be liked in order to fit in? Do I need to fit in order to live? Do I need the social pressures of life? I don't know. You guys think about, what do you guys think about that? I don't need the social pressures of life. I'm very contented with myself. I can walk in a shop by myself. I can walk in the city by myself. And the crazy thing is, the people are the ones who judge a lot. The people who need that are the ones who judge a lot. People will judge you of anything, And it's kind of a pity, because people don't like to leave people with peace. They want to act like you need them, That kind of starvation is crazy. People are hungry for attention. And that's why people get in a lot of trouble. Police doesn't just show up on your door. You did something for somebody to get something. And most of the time it's attention. That's why people get in prisons. People buy nice cars. People buy big houses. All for attention. They are not satisfied with the little they have. Or if you have $1 million plus, if you have the money to build a big house, it's no problem. Build a big house and stop there. But no, you have to have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 houses. I know a family that has a house in Spain, a house in Greek, a house in Dutch where I live, Holland, a house in Belgium, a house in America, and they rarely visit all these houses. Only like once in a year they decide where they are going and they go over there. Other people live in those houses, like their uncles and aunties and stuff like that. That's really unnecessary. That's just looking for attention. Being able to tell people, yo, I have 5 houses in 5 different countries. Man, you can put that money to a better use, helping people, helping children. You don't even have to help grown-ass people. Help the children. Help the children out. Help the children out. Help the babies dying of sicknesses. Help the people sleeping on the streets. There are enough people you can help in this world. Anyway, guys, that's all I wanted to talk about today. So if you have any questions, shoot, You're welcome to ask me anything. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know, Right now, I'm going to get some rice and some turkey, rice and turkey, in an African restaurant. And I'm going to eat that and have a nice day. So, guys, have a blessed Sunday. That was my whole rant about starving. Starve yourself from attention. And I think the quietness, the silence is not wrong. Most people think it's wrong to be silent. It's wrong to feel quiet in the house where nobody's speaking to you. Some people feel like that's wrong. That's weird. It's because the devil wants to talk to you all day. Starve yourself. Get quiet sometimes. Sit down and don't put on the music or movies, and just feel that quietness. That helps you regenerate. That helps your brain take a little pause. Some people sleep so bad. Sleep doesn't really help you regenerate. Sometimes sleep is not enough. Sometimes you need something extra than sleep. You can be awake and just sit quietly. Quietly sit and just enjoy it. That will help you tremendously to reflect on yourself, reflect on, you don't necessarily need to reflect. You just sit quietly before you think about anything. Try 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, and go on. Try not to join groups. Try not to be social. Being a social group, socially, if you're not doing business with anybody, why am I going to sit in the pub and drink a beer? Really? Why am I going to sit and drink alcohol in a pub with friends or whatever, get drunk, go home, have a headache the next day? Why do I need that? Ask yourself before you take some actions, before you do some things. Is it necessary? Anyway, bless you all. Gonna get some food. Let me know what you think, if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Peace. God bless. Have a blessed week.